Hello, the one and only Xylophoney here with something a little different for you guys today. As I've told you before, there's a lot of fan-made dossiers posted every week, and I don't always get a chance to cover most of them. So this is going to be a situation where we do cover all of them. We're gonna round up all of the dossiers posted this week and go over them with you guys. Now of course we got a lot of cool ones in this list, including a really funny one at the end, so make sure you watch till then. But let's get this started off with the Tyrannotitan. Now you take a look at this guy, he's one of the smaller, surely more cute creatures to be added to the island. Now of course remember these are fan-made, so they're not actually being added, but we like to think about what it would be like if they were added. So when domesticated, Tyrannotitan are very easy to tame and make great messengers. They're capable of transporting small goods from one area to another by creating a tunnel to serve as a shared storage box for two areas at once. Tyrannotitan also seem to have a knack for finding treasures, which they bring to their owners. So right off the bat, looking at this guy, it for sure seems like something I would want to tame. Not only does he look like a, cute cool little guy to have around, but he also has a lot of utility to him. Have a bunch of these guys and they can find random treasures for you. I assume that would be very similar to the way the beacon drops happen, so you could get some nice blueprints for something you didn't have before, or you might even get something better. But just having that storage box between, one base and another, for example in my series between the metal base and our normal base or our swamp base, that would be a very useful tunnel to have. But aside from that, it says their duck and cover method can be quite aggravating for anyone to try to get a quick bite for keratin. Groups of Tyrannotitan often enjoy teasing their attackers by playing a deadly game of whack-a-mole. So these guys are gonna troll you too if you try to fight them. That'll be funny. I just want to see a T-Rex trying to go after these guys in the wild and just getting fooled by them jumping back in their tunnels, crawling over to another one, popping up, and staying fine the whole time. These guys just seem like, something cool all around. I don't think they're too overpowered or anything. Of course, the whole, tunnel ability is really good, but at the same time, I'm sure they could just get wrecked if you have them in any sort of actual combat scenario. Anyway, in the wild, Tyrannotitan are very social animals. They live carefree lives in their burrows where they feed on the roots of trees. They seem to be very curious of humans, even walking up to them without hesitation, but when attacked, they quickly scutter back into their burrows. Alright, and it also says that the only sure way to get them out of their burrow is food or smoke bombs. So you'd have to either lure them out or scare them out, and as you see in the bottom left picture, when it comes to humans, they will just come right up to you. I think the best way to tame these guys might just be to feed them directly when they come out, and that would be how you get these guys going. But that is the Tyrannotitan. Let me know what you thought of this guy in the comments below, and we're going to move right on to the next dossier. Here we have a hand-drawn dossier of the Thylacine. Now of course this is a skittish carnivore, kind of like a dog or jackal today. And it's going to be a pack hunter, going to be, something that can be dangerous, but not necessarily always, and it would be definitely fun to tame. It says it's one of the smallest carnivores on the island, and it can be threatening in large packs. If you attack one of its pack, then they will fight back. Just because they're skittish doesn't mean they're dangerous. They have razor-sharp teeth, great for cutting the hide and meat from an animal. So these guys will be, pretty useful to have. They'll be able to gather supplies for you. You're not going to be able to ride them because they are smaller, but having a group of these guys behind you will be very good. Much like having a group of Dimorphodons would be, except, well, they don't fly and they probably are a bit more effective. So they do massive bleeding damage. They hunt dodos, bugs, and monkeys most often, but they can bring down creatures larger than themselves. It says when domesticated, it can be a challenge to catch one because of their speed and elusiveness in the forests and grasslands, but when one is tamed, they're very loyal to their masters. So it seems this dossier is trying to model them after a dog. Of course, lots of people love dogs, and they would love to have them in ARK, so it would be a great addition either way. Moving on to the next dossier. Now as you probably noticed, we're not reading each of them word for word, just because then it would take quite a while, so we're just getting the gist of them, trying to make this video around 10 minutes for you guys. Don't want to eat up your time, but I do want to show off all these wonderful dossiers. Now this one is the Saurophagnax maximus. It is a large, aggressive carnivore. Thing about this one is it's not quite as large as the T-Rex, but it's, still one of those big apex predators. So it is going to be completely terrifying to run into. Just looking at the picture, the coloring of it with the red on top and then the frills going down its back. The main difference with this guy is he has to eat a lot of meat. If he's in the wild, he's on a constant search for food, and if you're taming him, you have to constantly be feeding him with piles of meat. But other than that, he's just another large theropod. If you guys are interested in him, definitely let me know in the comments below. But we're going to move on to the 4th dossier here, which I really like. The Ripper, the Megalania venenifer. In the wild, the only non-dinosaurian reptile that rivals the Titanoboa and Sarcosuchus is the dreaded Megalania, known as the Giant Ripper. They're an active hunter and they'll prey on just about anything their size, and they will not hesitate to strike first. Their teeth and saliva are coated in lethal venom that can kill over time if not treated quickly, but you can also harvest those teeth to get huge quantities of narcotics. These guys are really interesting. Obviously they're kind of modeled after a very aggressive looking Komodo dragon, so it would be a cool thing to have in the game. You could use them for that narcotic property of them, or of course just having a big lizard that'll kill things. Both very good benefits of the game. Probably one of the scariest things to run into when the game would actually start. I think their weakness would be speed, however. That I think is going to be the one thing that you can do. Run away. Anyway, when domesticated, a tamed Megalania is very useful but difficult to tame. It fights back viciously, but a tamed specimen is great for tracking down prey. It uses its forked tongue to pick up the scent of prey, allowing one to harvest meat. This giant lizard's high aggression makes it a good defense against most predators. So that is the Great Ripper. Moving on to our next dossier, the Aurochs. We have pretty much a cattle to be added to ARK, whether you see it as a cow or a bison. It's pretty much along those lines, surely going to be harvested for good amounts of meat and hide. But let's take a look at this. Herds of bison roam the prairies of the island. The males are stronger. Normally a very docile grazing animal, wait. Typo. Anyway, becomes aggressive once angered. Aurochs will chase down would-be predators, and red-painted things, with incredible prejudice. So, just like the whole bullfighting thing, if you paint something red, or just dye your armor red, these guys will be aggressive towards you, which is pretty funny, but really interesting addition. I think that really adds a whole lot of character to this guy. Anyway, when domesticating, it's a common mount for those who can ride it as both a pack animal and a warhorse. The females give milk, but prepare. A frontal attack from these guys is very dangerous. So there we have it. Moving on to the second to last dossier we have, the Tyranno Titan. Now, although it does have this incredibly scary, dangerous name, it's actually smaller than a Giganotosaurus. It's slightly larger than a Tyrannosaurus, but still very dangerous. Once again, it's another large, dangerous theropod. Not a whole lot different about this guy, but instead of being extremely dangerous and aggressive, he's actually a good parent. He's often seen in family units with his children dinosaurs. So, although he's going to kill you, it's still kind of cute. The reason he's going to kill you is to feed his young ones. That's kind of noble, right? When domesticated, considering its lighter build, the Tyrannotitan takes slightly less force to subdue than the T-Rex. Once tamed, it makes for a great heavy fighting mount, but can also set an example for tribes' young hunters. So we have the giant T-Rex looking parent of ARK. I guess we're gonna move on to the final dossier. We have the mighty unicorn. Yeah, I had to do it. There's unicorns, guys. Come on, they're fearsome. They're like war horses with great weapons protruding from their skull. Anyway, they also have healing properties. They can cure poisoned water and heal sickness. And in the wild, a skittish herbivore, extremely rare woodland creature that is a symbol of purity and grace in this wild and dangerous island. Nice calm place to end on. Now, the unicorn is also kind of puking. down at the bottom, but it's a nice place to end here. Hopefully you all enjoyed this roundup of dossiers that you may have never seen before, you may have never wanted to see before, but here they are. Thank you for watching, leave comments down below, and hopefully you all have a wonderful and terrific day. Goodbye.